Okay, let's do this. Alright. Hello viewers. Another beautiful day. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. Alright, look. Microsoft was charging for off and online play on Xbox One. And the Xbox enforcement team was stealing your consoles. When you first, me personally, when it comes to Game Pass, I have no issue with it. Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, I have no issues with it. Microsoft buying ZeniMax Bethesda, I have no issues with it. Microsoft buying Mahjong, I have no issues with it. Microsoft coming up with xCloud, I have no issues with it. Here's where the problem comes in. When you first got the Xbox One, you never owned the console. You went to the store, you bought the console. You probably went to Best Buy, GameStop. You probably went to Amazon. You probably went to Kmart, Walmart to go get one. So when you got the Xbox One, you never owned a console, even if you just paid for it. You're probably sitting there like, what do you mean I never owned the console? You never owned a console. Here's why. When you got the Xbox One, you got home, right? You had to sign in you had to sign in online to use it, right? And then when you had the physical disc, and then you put the disc in, the only way to use the Xbox One is if it's online. So you never own the console, because the only person that owned the consoles was the Xbox enforcement team. They were just hiding in the background, and they were giving you the illusion that you owned that console, but you never did. So the other thing they tried to do now, they tried to give you a offline feature. So in order to use that offline feature, your system had to be connected to the internet. So you're saying like, wait a minute, I gotta sign in to be online. That's one. To use the physical disc, I had to be online. And then when I went into the offline mode, I still had to be online. Yeah, that's what they wanted you to believe. So you're saying like, how can I be offline and I'm still on the internet? That don't exist, but that's what they try to present to you by giving you that offline feature. Because every real person should know offline means that there is no internet connection to your console, whether wirelessly or cable. That's what offline is. Offline means that there's no internet connection to your console, whether offline or cable, and you should be able to play the game offline with no internet connection. That's what offline is. So the offline feature they gave you was to trick you and had you fooled. And here's the other thing now. With you being online to use the Xbox console, and then being offline now, with being offline but you're connected to the internet, to say that you're offline, it made the Xbox One now a disposable console. What do you mean by you're saying, okay, what do I mean by disposable? Disposable mean that if you let's say you're trying to defend yourself online against someone that's making the game unplayable for you, and then you get into an argument with someone online, the Xbox enforcement team now start to hiding in the background, then they start to come forward, meaning that if you get into a argument online with someone, right, and you're trying to defend yourself because the person is making the game unplayable for you, they will ban you first. They will ban you, but they won't ban the person that was creating the problem. Now you see why the console is disposable. So the Xbox One is the world's first disposable console. So with that now, Now that the console, now that they have you banned, right? They were trying to use that to make a profit. So what did they do now is have you now go back to the store that you got your Xbox from, pay for another one. So basically, you just paid $1,000 for 2 Xboxes, and now now once you get that Xbox, now you don't have your older you don't have your account. You lose all your games, and they wanted you to come up with a new email address and a new name, and then the games that you have on, let's say on the hard drive, let's say you got about 30, 65, 75 games on the hard drive. They wanted you to repurchase those games all over again. Okay, that's what the Xbox enforcement team was doing. They were running a scam on you by saying that you were you were offline when you never were, but you were still connected to the internet, because there's no such thing. And then not only that, the only way to use that console is if the console is connected to the internet. That was the only way. So they were running a scam on you. And then now with the console now being offline, but it has to be connected to the internet, that makes no sense. And then now you being online, you have no control over, you have no say-so over the console. That's where the Xbox enforcement team comes in. They were just hiding in the background. They had you fooled. They had you brainwashed. Microsoft had you brainwashed, believing that you owned that console. You never did. So they were charging you. They made the Xbox One a disposable console without even telling you. You know how you learned that? Was through me. Because I was the one that got at them about this. Why you think people are now all of a sudden using their Xbox One offline? It's because of me. Because when I made that video and I told them Xbox console ban means that PlayStation user base got bigger, it stung them. When I told them that the Xbox One is the world's first disposable console, they can't hide anymore. They have to come out. Okay? So now with your Xbox One now, you can play your physical disc offline. Okay? And that was the scam that they were running on people. And people didn't even know. You had YouTubers that came before me. Plenty of them. Plenty of them tried to explain the console ban. None of them could do it. Because all they do is hide behind video clips and doing all this talking. And they weren't explaining anything. It wasn't until I came in and started breaking this stuff down to show you what you guys were dealing with. Now everybody gets it. Here's the other thing that the enforcement team will do. They would let's say you got a hard drive with some games on it. Let's say you got a hard drive with some games on it, and let's say you connect your hard drive to your Xbox, but it's not showing up. You just put a brand new power cable on the on your Xbox One, and then you put a brand new USB a hard drive cable that connects from the hard drive to the console. You put both of those on, they're brand new. The console's still not reading the hard drive. You know who was doing that? The enforcement team. Okay? They were scamming people out of their games and their console, and they wanted you to repurchase those games that you just spent your hard-earned, that you just wasted, what's that, sweat and hard work to get that money to buy those games. They wanted you to repurchase them again. That's what they were doing. Okay, let's say you bought some brand new DVD disc, a brand new DVD disc, brand new HD DVD disc, brand new Blu-ray disc, movie disc, right? You put the disc in the console, then all of a sudden the disc is not playing. It's a brand new disc, no scratches on it, nothing. You put the disc in the console, it's not. You put the DVD disc in the Xbox One, it's not playing it. You put an HD DVD disc in the console, it's not playing. You put a Blu-ray disc in the console, it's not playing. So what they'll try to do is this. They'll say, we have trouble reading this disc. making sure it's a Blu-ray disc or DVD. That's the enforcement team doing this. They want to blame you for the problem that they're creating. So if you see this error code 0x91, what's that D, I think D70000, if you see that error code, that's the Xbox enforcement team doing that. They want to give you the illusion that there's something wrong with your console when it's not. It's them doing this. The other one is this, right? They'll tell you, so it says, oh, if it's a game disc from your game and app instead, then the code is this 0x91D7 0000, 4 zeros. Okay, that's the problem that they were creating. They never wanted you to own the console. So imagine those two. There's a clip on YouTube where they said, oh, can you get banned on Xbox? And they were mocking people. They tried to rub it in people's face. They told you that it was slurs, racial slurs. But they never told you the things I told you. They never told you that you never owned a console. That you never wanted to own it. They didn't tell you that they were hiding in the background to give you the illusion that you owned a console when you went and bought it from the store, and then when you came home and then signed up on the internet, and then the only way to use the Xbox was if the Xbox One is if the console was online. They didn't tell you like, oh, they gave you the option for offline play, and they were tricking and manipulating your mind to make you believe that you were actually offline when you weren't. When every real gamer should know that offline play means that there is no internet connection connected to your console. Do you know how foolish those two look? There's a clip on YouTube right now about the console ban, and he says, "Could you get banned on Xbox?" And then he got the nerve to talk about this have it and that have it. It's called a con ban. The Xbox, he says it's called a con ban, and then he tried to say, "Oh, it's slurs, racial slurs." No, it ain't. It's more to it than just that. They were lying to you. Do you know how foolish those two look? Yeah. So Microsoft was charging people for off and online play, and then the Xbox enforcement team was stealing people's consoles. Okay? Yeah. They never wanted you to own that console, ever. Never. They never wanted you to own it. They just gave you the illusion. You thought because you went to the store and then bought the console that you owned it. But guess what? How can you own it when you got to sign in on the internet? And the only way to use it is if you have an account. So if you don't pay your internet bill, do you still own that Xbox? Can you still use it? No. And when they gave you that, that offline feature, and then saying that you were offline playing, you never were. You were still online. It's like they were playing psychological mind games with you. They can't do that to me because I already understand. I've been playing video games for years. So when I saw that, man, I said, okay, this is like my fifth. I think this is my fourth and fifth video about this. They were scamming people out of their consoles, man. They never wanted people to own those consoles. Okay? They never did. But now they try to, you know what they try to do now too? The banned consoles that they banned, you know what they did? Because the damage was so severe. They created the problem. They were giving you the illusion like you created the problem. They created the problem, and the problem got so bad. You know what they started to do? They start turning the banned consoles into digital consoles. Why? As a way of saving their user base. Remember, there's like 4 Xbox Ones on the market. There's a digital one, right? I think there's the regular one, the regular Xbox One with the Kinect. There's the Xbox One S. And then there's the Xbox One X. Okay? So those banned consoles now, they turned it into digital consoles when they got banned. You know why? Because you know why they did it? Because I'm the one that came at them over the whole console ban situation. And what they did now, they had the nerve to come try to ask you when it came to your when it came to your external hard drive with your games. They try to come at you. They're gonna ask you a question like, "Are you planning on using this external hard drive on your console?" On your console, right? It's like they were trying to put words in your mouth. It's like they knew you were about to buy a new console, so they try to say, "Oh, are you planning on using this hard drive on another console?" Right? That's them trying to save themselves. And when they turn your digital your physical your console that your Xbox One or Xbox Series X console that use a physical disc, and it can also buy digital. You can also buy digital games. They turn that console into a total digital console, so they can save themselves from the damage that they created. Microsoft brought this on themselves when it came to the combat. They were driving people away, from their user base. So when you saw those articles about the sales discrepancy between Xbox One and PlayStation, Microsoft brought that on themselves, okay? Because they were driving people away, when you look at the sales numbers between between Xbox One and PS4, Microsoft they created the problem themselves, and they were scamming people out of their consoles, okay? And they were giving you the impression like you owned the console, but you never did. So now they try to change their tune now. Now they try to have you play offline now with your Xbox Ones and your Xbox Series X and S. And the reason why that happened is because I came at them over this. I guess they were sitting there thinking like, nobody wasn't going to go at them and call them out on this. There were plenty of YouTubers that talk about the console ban, but they never explained it the way I did because they didn't know how to do it. But once I dropped those videos, they were daggers, and I threw it right at them. Now you can play your Xbox One offline now. Yeah, now you own it. Yeah, now you own your Xbox One. Now you can play it offline. But before, nah, they had you fooled. And when I did those videos, the Activision Microsoft sales purchase and court case drama was overshadowing it because it was bigger. But I dropped those videos, but they were effective. Okay, they were effective because they were effective because it got to them. It got to them because they had to. They knew they were wrong for what they were doing, man. How is it that someone go to the how is it that someone go to the store and pay for a console? They take it home, they sign up to your network, and they don't own it. So in other words, it's like you're telling people that they were renting from you without even telling them that they were renting it from you. It was a straight scam that they were running. So when I came at them the way I did, notice I didn't even disrespect or curse, or I didn't even curse them or use no derogatory word. I just laid it all out there. They start to make changes. Now all of a sudden they try to say, "Oh, you own your console." But if I never came out with those videos, they would be still trying to run that straight scam that they were trying to run, because that wasn't called for, So it's like, okay, you're trying to tell me like, okay, if a person doesn't pay their internet bill for 8, 9, 10 months, they bought an Xbox One, they haven't paid their internet bill for like 8, 9, 10 months, 12, 13, 14, whatever. You're telling me that the person don't own the console? The only way to use it is if it's online? Yeah, that's what they were doing. they were trying to scam people out of those consoles, man. So yeah, Microsoft, man, was really charging people for off and online play, and then the Xbox enforcement team, they were stealing people's consoles because they weren't really banning hackers, man. They were really banning normal people that were trying to defend themselves. Like, if they go online into a game and all of a sudden the person takes control of your game, control your movement, control your action, like, and you know, they were controlling everything. So if you try to defend yourself, the Xbox enforcement team would try to ban you for that, give you a permanent ban for that, and then have you buy a brand new console. So yeah, that's what they were up to, man. So those two that put that video clip on YouTube talking about can you get banned on Xbox, do you know how foolish they look? When do you know how foolish they look? They sitting there laughing and giggling now. Now the joke's on them. Like, how come you didn't? You could go at them like, how come you didn't tell? Y'all didn't tell us all this. We didn't know this. You know. So yeah, that's what they were doing, man. They were charging people for off and online play, man. I mean, look, it's one thing. Okay, if a person hacks into someone's account and they use their credit card information, okay, that's grounds for banning. If a person use the Xbox One, for child pornography and stuff like this, stuff like that, okay, fine. If a person uses it to create racial tensions online, okay, fine, that's grounds for a permanent ban. But if a person never did that, that's not grounds for a permanent ban. So the Xbox enforcement team was stealing a lot of people's console, and those people that work at Microsoft, for the Xbox enforcement team, they thought they were untouchable. You think just because they thought, because I'm talking about the ones that work inside the building, the ones that sits behind the computer, the ones that be hiding behind the computer, those people, I'm talking about them. They were creating more problems, more than they knew. And it got so bad, and I guess they thought they were untouchable, that nobody can get to them. Oh, we work at Microsoft, you know, nobody can touch us. Yeah, you can. There's a place called the courts, and you don't want to see people in court over the console ban in the way and at the rate you were banning people. You don't want to see them in court. You will lose. So yeah, the console ban, man, was a straight scam, man. It was a straight scam. You know, because when people took their hard-earned money to buy the console, their hard-earned money, you know what I'm saying, they should have the right to play that console offline with no internet connection from cable to wireless, and they should be able to use the console as they see fit. But Microsoft was trying to control all that. But once I dropped those videos, man, they were daggers, and I threw it right at them. So that console ban, man, was a straight scam. And if you ban people that's been that never really hacked your network, then you need to remove that perma ban. You can't just give people a list and say, oh, they're doing this, and this, and they never did it, and they never opened the console, and they never ran any mods or ran any emulation on or anything. You got to unban those people and restore their accounts. Just saying. So the Xbox enforcement team was really stealing people's console, man. And it just that people didn't know how to fight it. But the way I came at them about it, it stung a little bit. I'm like, and that's what you're gonna have to do, you know, because you can't just be banning people just off the network just because they stood up for themselves online, and they were they were being mistreated, you know, being taken advantage of by another person that was modding or hacking the game. So yeah, but that console ban, man, yeah, it was something, man. It was really something. So they were really Microsoft was really charging for off and online play, but the Xbox enforcement team was stealing the customers' consoles. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this video for y'all to enjoy though. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, the Star Wars Star Trek thing. Board Dark Side. Go. Peace.